The cargo hauler's emergency beacon pierced through the toxic fog of Kepler 442b's industrial district, but no one was coming. The sector had been abandoned years ago, left to rust and ruin after the mining corporations pulled out. No one except Kiara. The 17-year-old human scrambled across the wreckage-strewn street, her worn boots splashing through puddles of chemical runoff. She'd been scavenging for sellable scrap when the ship came screaming down from the sky, carving a black scar across the amber clouds before slamming into an old refinery 3 blocks away. Most people would have run the other way. Crashes meant authorities, and authorities meant questions Kiara couldn't answer. But she'd heard something in that beacon, a warbling distress call that sounded almost like crying. The ship was a Valtorian cruiser, she realized as she approached the smoking hull. Expensive, the kind of vessel that shouldn't have been anywhere near this forgotten corner of the galaxy. Its silvered exterior was crumpled like paper, and acrid smoke poured from a gash in the starboard side. "Hello?" Kiara called out, covering her mouth against the fumes. "Anyone alive in there?" A weak groan answered her. She found him pinned beneath a collapsed bulkhead. An elderly Valtorian male with deep violet skin and 4 crystalline eyes that had dimmed to a pale lavender. His breathing apparatus was cracked, leaking the nitrogen-rich mixture his species needed to survive in oxygen atmospheres. "Don't move," Kiara said, assessing the situation with the practical eye of someone who'd survived alone for 3 years. "I'm going to get you out." The Valtorian's translator chip flickered. "Leave. Me. Dangerous." "Yeah, I got the memo. Ship's about to blow, right?" Kiara wedged her shoulder under the bulkhead and heaved. Her muscles screamed in protest, but she'd hauled heavier loads in the scrapyards. "But here's the thing. I don't leave people to die. Bad for karma." With a grunt and a prayer, she lifted the debris just enough for the alien to drag himself free. His lower left arm hung at an odd angle, and blue-green blood seeped through his expensive-looking tunic. "Can you walk?" Kiara asked. He tried to stand and collapsed. Without hesitation, she pulled his good arm over her shoulders and half-carried, half-dragged him away from the wreck. They'd barely made it 50 meters when the ship's core detonated, sending a shock wave that knocked them both to the ground. Kiara's makeshift shelter was a forgotten maintenance bunker beneath an old processing plant. It wasn't much. A bedroll, a portable heater, some canned rations she'd traded for, but it was dry and safe from the acid rain that plagued the planet. She laid the Valtorian on her bedroll and immediately set to work. 3 years on the streets had taught her basic field medicine. She splinted his arm with pieces of scrap metal, sealed his wounds with industrial adhesive, and jury-rigged his breathing apparatus using parts from an old air filter. "You're human," the alien whispered, his translator finally stabilizing. His crystalline eyes studied her with what might have been wonder. "A child." 17's not a child, Kiara corrected, checking his vital signs against the medical database she downloaded to her battered datapad. "And you're stable, barely. You need real medical attention, but this'll keep you alive until morning." "Why, help me?" Kiara shrugged, cracking open one of her precious ration packs and heating it over the portable stove. "You needed help. I could give it. That's all the reason anyone should need." The Valtorian, he said his name was Zeralth, recovered slowly over the next 3 days. Kiara shared her meager supplies without complaint, told him stories about surviving in the industrial district, and carefully avoided asking questions about who he was or why he'd crashed. On the 4th morning, she woke to find him sitting up, his crystalline eyes bright with renewed health. "Kiara," he said softly, "I must tell you something. My family will come looking for me soon. When they do, they will want to reward you." She waved him off. "Don't need a reward, just maybe don't mention you saw me, okay? I'm kind of off the grid for a reason." Zeralth's expression, difficult to read on an alien face, seemed to convey both sadness and admiration. "You saved my life and asked for nothing. You gave what little you had to a stranger. Tell me, child, why do you live like this? Where is your family?" Kiara's jaw tightened. "Dead accident at the mines when I was 14. System put me in a group home, but..." She shrugged. "I do better on my own." Before Zeralth could respond, the bunker's walls vibrated with the thunder of landing ships. Kiara's eyes went wide with panic, but the Valtorian placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's all right. They're here for me." What happened next would become the stuff of legend on Kepler 442b. The ships belonged to Xeroth Corporation, one of the largest conglomerates in the Galactic Union. Xeroth himself, the elderly alien Kiara had pulled from the wreckage, was Chairman Xeroth Valtoria, a billionaire industrialist whose wealth could buy entire planets. When his security team swept into the bunker, they found their chairman sitting peacefully with a human orphan girl, sharing a can of cheap protein paste. "Sir, we've been searching for 3 days," the head of security began. Xeroth raised a hand for silence, his eyes never leaving Kiara. "This young human saved my life. She gave me shelter, medicine and food, everything she had, and asked for nothing in return." He turned to Kiara, who stood frozen in shock. "You showed me something I'd forgotten in my centuries of business and acquisition. You showed me that wealth is not measured in credits but in the richness of one's character. You have more wealth than I could ever accumulate." Kiara found her voice. I just did what anyone should do." "Exactly," Xeroth said with a sound that might have been a laugh. "What anyone should do, but so few actually do. Especially for a stranger who could offer nothing in return." He stood with difficulty, his repaired breathing apparatus hissing softly. "Kiara, I cannot repay what you've given me, but I can offer you a choice. Remain here in hiding or come with me. Not as a charity case, but as my personal reminder that true humanity, the kind worth emulating, knows no species." Kiara looked around her bunker, at the life she'd built from nothing, then back at the elderly alien who'd crashed into her world. She smiled. "Tell me more about this galactic union of yours. Do they need engineers? I'm pretty good at fixing things." Xeroth's crystalline eyes glimmered with something that transcended species, hope, respect, and the beginning of an unlikely friendship. "My dear child," he said warmly, "I believe they need people like you most of all.